Hi, welcome to this code lab on navigation in Jetpack Compose. So in our code for the Unicorn app, we have our navigation set up for the login and registration, which takes us to the login and sign up forms. And we now want to take the user to the main screen when they click on get started. So let's go to our main activity and take a look at the route nav graph. So we have our route nav graph set up with the landing screen as the start destination. We have our landing screen as a composable route. We have the login screen as another route, and we have the registration screen as a third route, and the main screen as our fourth route. So that's the first navigation graph. And then we have our second navigation graph, which is for the navigation drawer, and that takes the user to the home screen. Now we should be taking the user to the main screen in this scenario because the main screen contains the drawer content, and so in here we can check the main screen route and check if the screen drawer has the main screen listed. So here it doesn't have it listed, so we can move our main screen listing from here to the screen drawer. And now if we go back to the drawer nav graph, we can see that main screen is listed here, and the composable for our route nav graph doesn't have the main screen. So what we could do is select screen drawer dot main screen dot route in here, and that makes it so that the nav host for the drawer navigation graph contains the main screen. So we have two nav graphs in this case, and in our main activity we're calling the route nav graph, and in our main screen we're setting up the drawer nav graph. So this should work, but let's just test it. And let's also make sure that the landing screen takes the user to the main screen when they click on the get started button. So in the on click, we can get the user to navigate to the main screen. And this is using the navigator, so let's actually fix that. We'll comment out the navigator code and call the nav controller dot navigate, and let's call screen drawer dot main screen dot route. And now we should have the navigation working for the get started button here. So let's see if the imports are correct. So let's check the imports here. So this should be screen drawer. And then this should also be screen drawer. And these are the links from the login screen, so that's okay. And let's clean and rebuild. And let's check this. It says screen.mainScreen.route, so we can make that screen drawer .mainScreen.route. And just to explain what the navigation graph looks like, it's got the nav host here, takes the user to the root nav graph. The root nav graph has a landing screen, and then the landing screen takes the user, can take the user to the main screen, and the main screen contains a drawer nav graph, and the drawer nav graph contains, actually it's the drawer which contains the main screen. So the drawer nav graph is inside the main screen, and then it contains these three screens. So that's the diagram. And let's make sure that we're calling main screen. So here we have screen drawer dot main screen dot route, and we have screen drawer. So let's rebuild that. And run. So now when the app loads, if we click on get started, it should take us to the main screen, but it throws an exception. So let's check the exception. So it says view model store should be set before set nav graph call. So let's double check what we're doing wrong. And we can actually move the main screen route. So we can move the main screen route to the root nav graph. So let's do that in our, so we have the main screen here, and this takes the user to the home screen, where the home screen is part of the screen drawer routes, and in the screen drawer routes we won't have the main screen, we'll have it in the and we don't need the home screen and the screen class. So now if we rebuild, let's see. So it should give us the error for the route to main screen. So let's fix that and rebuild. And let's fix the error here where it says screen. Rebuild that. Import the screen drawer. Rebuild that. And this is in the screen class. So let's rebuild that. Again, this is also in the screen sealed class. So let's rebuild with these two fixes. This is in the screen drawer class, and so is this in the screen drawer class. So let's import that. The main screen is in the screen class. So let's rebuild that. The main screen is also again in the screen class. So rebuild that. And now if we run this, we should get the get started button working. So there seems to be an error. Let's try to fix that. So it says view model store should be set before the set graph call. And the reason for this is that we have a call in our main screen for this one, which is setting the screen drawer here, and in our let's reinstall the app and then let's run it again. So let's take a look at the stack trace. And it says view model store should be set before the set graph call, which is so the way to fix that issue with the view model store should be set before nav graph call is to essentially create a drawer nav host controller. So what we need here is a drawer nav host controller, and it's of type nav host controller, and this needs to be initialized. So in order to initialize it, we can go down here to before set nav graph or set up drawer nav graph, and we can initialize it using the drawer nav host controller remember nav controller call. So now we have our drawer nav controller being initialized, and it was declared here. So instead of val, we can say a late init, or it's a var, and we initialize it here, and we can then pass it into setup. So pass this into setup, and now we can clear the logcat and run. And now if we click on get started, it takes us to our unicorn section. So that's all for this part, and we'll see you in the next one where we cover compose destinations. So see you in that one. Thanks.